I'm John Bell.
Imagine, over 200 years ago today, on a tennis court, just like this, a place known as a habitat for the rich and powerful would soon serve as an asylum for 577 members of the lower class, known as the Third Estate. The year was 1789. France, although she didn't know it at the time, was at the origin of one of the greatest revolutions of all time. It's funny. An event that seems so futile, so insignificant, it would prove to be the catalyst to one of the bloodiest revolutions in all of European history.
The actions that caused the Estates General to invoke the act that is now known as the Tennis Court Oath illustrated the state's disregard for the lower class and the common people. The Tennis Court Oath addressed the injustices in the French estate system and revealed the desire of the majority for a government system that represented the ideals of freedom and personal liberty. As a result of the Tennis Court Oath and the help of Napoleon, the entire French government and infrastructure was changed for the next 200 years. Our thesis is, the Tennis Court Oath was the first event that gave the French Revolution validity and reason to proceed in demolishing the monarchy. The French Revolution resulted from the unfair treatment of the common people. The previous social system gave unfair advantages to the rich minority and neglected the peasants, known as the Third Estate. The peasants, or the Third Estate, made up for 97% of the French population. In the summer of 1788, a political crisis, a serious food shortage, and skyrocketing food prices caused chaos throughout France. Many homes and bakeries were robbed, along with violent riots that broke out in the streets.
With the economy in shambles, the banks forced Louis to hire a finance minister, Jacques Necker. An enlightened thinker, Necker is popular with the people in a way that Louis can only envy.
Jacques Necker was undoubtedly the most popular minister throughout the spring of '89 because he's taken the line publicly in his writings that the government's duty is to make sure that there is enough bread and grain for everybody.
The nation in fiscal crisis, Necker urges Louis to call a meeting of the traditional representative body of the kingdom, the Estates General. It is the first time the representatives have been called together in 175 years.
France was politically organized in something called the estates. The first estate was the clergy, the second estate was the nobility, and the third estate was everyone else.
A lot of people felt it was very unfair for this Third Estate, which was most of the population, to only have 1/3 of the deputies. They felt it was very unfair that this should be a three-chamber parliament, where two chambers, the nobility and the clergy, could always outvote the commoners.
On May 4th, 1789, led by Maximilien Robespierre, the Third Estate arrives at the Estates General and demands that the nobles and clergy pay taxes. After 6 weeks of debates, the Third Estate becomes locked out of the Estates General by Louis XVI because of their radicalism.
On June 20th, when the deputies come to their meeting and find the doors locked, they suspect a plot. They move next door to what we call a tennis court, which was really a handball court, and gather together and swear they will not stop meeting until they have a new constitution.
The deputies declare themselves a new National Assembly, the true representatives of the people of France.
Here we are on the Seine River, a waterway that spans 482 miles through France and to Paris. This commercial highway served as a route for goods and ideas to spread throughout the country. Like the river's current, the French Revolution was growing faster and faster, taking everyone in its path. Soon, an entire nation would feel the size, the sheer strength of the proverbial river, going through the hearts of all the French souls. And like the proverbial river, there would be no dam to hold back the flow of the revolutionaries.
The tennis court oath is one of these great symbolic moments in the history of the French Revolution. You had these people assembled in this great open space of the tennis court, raising their arms in this sort of quasi-Roman salute. And for the National Assembly, this was a moment when they realized something of their power and their dignity and saw that they really could defy France's king.
According to the priest, Emmanuel Joseph Sieyès, who authored the pamphlet, What is the Third Estate?, the ideals of the revolution were quite simple. They were to answer the three basic questions that the French people had to ask themselves. What is the Third Estate? Everything. What has it been until now in this existing political order? Nothing. And finally, what does it want to be? Something. A byproduct that was produced just weeks after the tennis court oath was the Declaration of the Rights of Man and of the Citizen. The National Assembly conformed to the demands of the Third Estate, providing the first and primary principle of the Declaration being that men are born and always continue free and equal in respect of their rights. The Cahiers des Doléances was the first document to list the grievances of the Third Estate. These grievances asked for rights similar to those of the American Bill of Rights. For example, one of their petitions included, and I quote, "Freedom should be granted to the press, which should, however, be subjected to the principles of religion, morality, and public decency."
The storming of the Bastille on the 14th of July in 1789 marked a turning point in the French Revolution and subsequently became symbolic of this turbulent period.
On Monday, January 21st, 1793, Louis XVI was executed by means of the guillotine. While he was preparing to die, Louis XVI gave one last speech. He said, "I die perfectly innocent of the so-called crimes of which I am accused. I pardon those who are the cause of my misfortune."
These casualties, however, would prove to be the necessary sacrifice to change from the unjust monarchy of King Louis to the democracy that it is today. This revolt, though it was bloody, could only occur due to one thing. And that one thing happened nearly 200 years ago on a tennis court. It is now called the tennis court oath.